is your girl Wakeji Kamore, and welcome to Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. Welcome to your daily dose of the Bible summary, and today we are going to be looking at Judges chapter 7. Finally, tumefika chapter 7. If you're here for the very first time and you're wondering what this is about, we are going through the whole book of the whole Bible, book by book, chapter by chapter. We're in the book of Judges and we're in chapter 7. Please stay to the end of the video because that is where I share the lessons from the chapter. Kindly subscribe, like, invite someone, share, hit the notification bell, comment, do everything that needs to be done so that you do not miss the next video. And if you've been here since the very beginning, nakupenda. That is all I can tell you guys. You guys, I love you guys, and you are truly, truly a blessing to me. Alright, so today I'm going to be reading Judges chapter 7, and I'll be reading word for word, and I'm going to read the whole chapter. It's a little bit, not very long, so kindly stay with me, don't get lost, follow the story of what is happening. This is the point where now Gideon is actually going to fight. See, he's already done his testing God, he's already done, fleece dry, fleece wet, and God has done all those things, and now we are getting into the actual action. So please, join us and stick around and follow through so that you don't get lost. All right, this is what it says. I'm going to be reading a little bit faster, so please keep up with me. So Jerubbaal is Gideon. That's the name he was given after he destroyed the Baal's altar. And his army got up early and went as far as the spring of Harod. The armies of the Midianites were camped north of them in the valley near the hill of Moreh. The Lord said to Gideon, "You have too many warriors with you. If I let you all go and fight the Midianites, the Israelites will boast to me that they saved themselves by their own strength." So God is like, "Therefore, tell the people, whoever is timid or afraid may leave this mountain and go home." And so 22,000 of them went home, leaving only 10,000 who are willing to fight. This is more than half. More than half have gone. Now, Gideon only has 10,000 warriors. Where? Okay, let's look at this and see what happens. But the Lord told Gideon, "These are still too many. Bring them down to the spring valley and I will test them to determine who will go with you and who will not." When Gideon took his warrior down to the water, the Lord told him, "Divide the men into two groups. In one group, put all those who cup water in their hands and lap it with their tongues as dogs. In the other group, put all those who kneel down and drink with their mouths in the stream." Only 300 of men drank from their hands. All the other got down on their knees and drank with their mouths in the stream. So first, if you cup water like this and you drink it like this, it means that you're stable enough to, if danger happens, danger tokelezes, you can easily get on your feet and fight. These other ones are kneeling on their fours. They're on the ground drinking water in the stream. So even if danger comes, now they will all die because now they're already, they won't be able to jump up quickly. So those are the ones God says, okay, now you will go home. And the only ones that were left is 300. So 9,700 people, warriors, went home at this point. So Gideon only has 300. All right, let's see what happens. So the Lord told Gideon, "With these 300 men, I will rescue you and give you victory over the Midianites. Send all those others home." So Gideon collected the provision of the rams' horns of the other warriors and sent them home. But he kept the 300 men with him. The Midianites' camp was in the valley just below Gideon. That night, the Lord said, "Get up and go down into the Midianites' camp, for I have given you victory over them." So it's basically God is telling Gideon, "Hey, Amka, let's go and fight." But God is remembering that this guy Gideon he's a very scary person. So he says, "But if you are afraid," God is like, "Me, I'm ready, let's go and do this." But he says, "But if you are afraid to attack, Go down to the camp with your servant Purah. Listen to what the Midianites are saying, and you will be greatly encouraged. Then you will be eager to attack." So Gideon took Purah and went down to the edge of the enemy camp. The armies of Midian and Amalek, and the people of the east had settled in the valley like a swarm of locusts. That's how much these guys were. I remember these guys are what? 300 people. Their camels were like grains of sand on the seashore, too many to count. Gideon crept up just as a man was telling his companion about a dream. So Gideon and his servant Purah have gone, who continue to listen to what the Midianites are saying. And now he encounters this guy who is just telling about his dream. And the man said, "I had this dream. And in the dream, a loaf of barley bread came tumbling down into the Midianites' camp." Like he saw this big loaf that came and tumbled down the Midianite camp. And it hit a tent. He turned it over and it knocked it flat. His companion answered, "Your dream can mean only one thing. God has given Gideon, son of Joash, the Israelites, the victory over Midian and all its allies." When Gideon heard this dream and its interpretation, he bowed in worship before the Lord. Then he returned to the Israelites' camp and shouted, "Get up, for the Lord has given over Midianites' hordes." He divided the 300 men into groups and gave each man a ram's horn and a clay jar with a torch in it. Then he said to them, "Keep your eyes on me. When I come to the edge of the camp, do as I do. As soon as I and those that are with me blow the ram's horn, blow your ram's horn all around the entire camp and shout for the Lord and for Gideon." It was just after midnight, after the changing of the guards, when Gideon and the 100 men with him reached the edge of the Midianites' camp. Suddenly, they blew the ram's horn and broke their clay jars. Then all the three groups blew their horns and broke their jars. They held their blazing torches in their hands and their horns in their right hands. And they shouted, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon." Each man stood at his position around the camp and watched as all the Midianites, these guys that were like locusts, rushed around in a panic, shouting as they ran to escape. When the 300 Israelites blew their ram's horn, the Lord caused the warriors in the camp to fight against each other with their swords. So now the Midianites are fighting against each other. They're in panic, like it's just a mess. Those who were not killed fled to places far away as Beth-Shitta near Zerah, and to the border of Abel-Meholah near Tabaz. Then Gideon sent for the warriors of Naphtali, of Asher, and Manasseh, who joined him in chasing the army of Midian. Gideon also sent messengers throughout the hill country to Ephraim, saying, "Come down to attack the Midians. Cut them off at the shallow crossing of the Jordan River at the Beth Bahar." So all the men of Ephraim did as they were told. They captured Oreb and Zeb, the two Midianite commanders, killing Oreb at the rock of Oreb and Zeb at the winepress of Zeb. And they continued to chase the Midianites after the Israelites brought the heads of Oreb and Zeb to Gideon, who was by the Jordan's river. So victory has been won. The camp has gotten all confused. They're killing each other. The ones that were not killed, they ran, and the other tribes now, the warriors came and actually killed them. And that is the end of chapter 7. So let me tell you guys, today we're going to do some little bit of maths. Later in this book of Judges, we are told that the Midianites, the warriors of this specific battle, were 135,000. 135,000. All right, so let's do some maths. So at the beginning, Gideon had like 32 warriors, meaning that each of them had to at least kill 4 warriors if they were going to win that battle. So the ratio was 1:4. And God was like, this sounds very achievable. I don't like it. Sijapenda. So the Israelites were like, God was like, no, reduce that number. Those are too many. And God was like, if these guys win, if they go that 32,000 that they are, and they win, they will never give this glory to me. They will be like, we did this by our own strength. So God was like, remove them. So 22,000 fearful warriors went home, leaving 10,000 warriors in Gideon's camp. Now, the ratio has moved from each person has to kill 4 people to each person has to kill at least 13 Midianites. For us to win this war, at least you have to kill 13 if you are going to win. So the ratio is that 1 is to 13. And then God was like, nah, this is still very doable. People can kill 13. You can kill 13 people. It's not very unheard of. So God commanded Gideon to send home 9,700 warriors, leaving them with 300 men only. So with 300 warriors, this meant that each and one of them, if they were going to win this war, each one of them had to kill, not 1, not 2, not 100, not 200, but 450 warriors. You have to kill 400 Midianite warriors if you are going to win this battle. Now the ratio is 1 to 450. The pressure is getting worse. Sometimes I feel like all odds are against me. Honestly, like I don't know how I managed to run a business for 11 years in an industry that is very male saturated. How do I even get guests in my furnished apartments that are located in a nest that has, I think, at least more than 20 other furnished apartments in the estates where my furnished apartments are? And trust me, mine look good, but they are not the best looking. Like honestly, people now have gone all out to decorate their houses. And mine are not even the cheapest. So it can only be God. Like how I do stuff, it can only be God. If there's anything that God is good at, it's stacking things against us. It's like stacking odds against us. So that when he comes through, because he will come through, he's God. We cannot even share that glory. We cannot even begin to start saying, I did this. God will not share his glory with anybody. God will not share glory with anybody. The other thing I find interesting is that God knew how fearful Gideon is. No wonder he played along with this guy when he was testing him left, right, and center. And even went further to give him one final encouragement. He was like, you know what, I'm ready, let's go and attack these guys. But if you are afraid, go down to where the Midianites are camped and listen to what they're saying. Then Gideon went down with one of his servants, and they had a dream of one of the guys who was a Midianite, saying, how he dreamt, and now someone has come and interpreted the dream, and he said, by the way, Gideon is going to defeat you guys. Like that in itself must have been such a booster. That must have been such an encouragement for Gideon to hear. As a matter of fact, it was such an encouragement that when Gideon went back to his camp, he was like, now I have a strategy. I'm going to divide people, 100 people, 100 people, and then I'm going to give each one of you a clay, and a torch, and I'm going to give each one of you a horn to blow. When I blow, you blow. I'm like, he even got strategies. This guy had no strategy. He was just like over there now, like, they're 300. Those people are 135. Their camels can't even be counted. I don't even know what we're going to do. But when he had this dream, he was seriously encouraged and even got the ideas of how to do this. God knows that sometimes we just need a little bit more push. Just a little bit more of a push. Just a word of encouragement to keep our faith strong. Just a little breakthrough to keep us believing in the most difficult times that the victory is just around the corner. And then when victory comes, or rather when victory comes and when the things that God has said he will do, he does those things. I hope that we remember to give God's glory. So this is my challenge and my encouragement. If you have an encouraging word for someone, imagine if you feel it in your heart to encourage someone, imagine just call and encourage them. That could be the last thing they need so they can be able to hold on to this faith until God comes through for them. That could be the last thing that they need for them to be pushed, to get strategies, for them to be pushed to do the things that God is wanting to do with them and for them and in their lives. If you have an encouragement for someone, imagine just right now, just call them. I've received calls from people who I didn't even think we were that like that close, and they're like, imagine God just told me to encourage you, or God just told me to pray with you, God just told me, and that has been, sometimes I cry over such, well, I cry about everything, but also they are usually so moving, and sometimes it's just what I need to keep me going, to keep my faith strong as I wait for God to come through, as I wait for the things that I'm praying for to manifest in my life. So, number one, sometimes when you feel that all odds are stacked against you, it could actually be God's doing, and He wants His name to be glorified. He wants to be the only one who can take glory for it. Number two, if you have an encouraging word for someone, just share it with them, because that could be the only thing that they need to wait until the manifestation of the things that they are praying for. And then also remember to give God's glory when He comes through for you. This is your girl Wakeji Kamore, and this has been Reflections by Wakeji Kamore.